Hi there. Today I'll be talking about I will be focusing on the destruction of identity in 4 texts: Beloved by Toni Morrison, Maus Volume 2 by Art Spiegelman, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead by Tom Stoppard. Let's begin with some quotes from page 228 of Beloved. Here we see Sethe being categorized as a mixture of human and animal characteristics. In the eyes of schoolteacher and his pupils, Sethe is not just a human being. She's something less than human. Quite a lot of white folk like schoolteacher and his pupils see African American slaves like Sethe as less than human and treat them as such. Like they're a bunch of no-good animals with no right to have a happy and fulfilled life as a free man or woman. Slavery destroys Sethe's identity and the identities of other African Americans. Without their identities, they cannot hope to have a satisfactory and fulfilled life even after they've gained their freedom. The destruction of Sethe's identity extended well beyond her time as a slave, never allowing her to live her life to the fullest. And Sethe is not the only person who's been the victim of destruction of identity and dehumanization. On page 26 of Maus Volume 2, there's a clear example of the Nazis' dehumanization of Jews. In this panel, we see Vladek showing Artie his number that he was given when he first entered Auschwitz, the number that was to replace his name. Vladek specifically points out that he and the others who were kept at this camp had their names taken from them. By taking away the names of the internees at the camp, the Nazis also took away their identity, reducing Vladek and the others to something less than human, ruining their chance to have a normal, happy, fulfilling life. That number on Vladek's arm is not just going to disappear after Auschwitz is destroyed and after the Holocaust is over and the war has been won. It's going to stick around. It's permanent. Just like the destruction of his identity the moment he entered Auschwitz is going to affect the rest of his life permanently. Now for a funny contradiction I found between these 2 texts. Funny as in interesting. The following image is the bottom right panel from page 99 of Maus Volume 2. Now for clarification, Schwarzers, or however you pronounce it, is a very derogatory term for black-skinned people. What we have here is Vladek arguing with Francois, Artie's wife, that it's unfair to compare black people and Jews. Besides the fact that this is a very, very racist comment coming from him, it also goes to show that Vladek believes that Jews are superior to blacks. Vladek's reasoning is very unclear, but it can be easily interpreted as his idea that Jews have suffered more at the hands of others and have faced more discrimination than black people. However, Jews and African Americans actually have a lot in common. Both societal groups have suffered, and both have had their identities taken from them and destroyed, and replaced with inadequate and dehumanizing identities. And even though slavery in the United States was abolished 80 years prior to the Holocaust, its effect on African Americans remained and persisted, and has continued to this day. This continual degrading effect on identity is something Jews and African Americans both share. Truth is, there are many similarities between Sethe and other African Americans and Vladek and other Jews, even if Vladek would never agree. Discrimination and the destruction of identity at the hands of oppressors is something a lot of people have in common. It's universal. Now, to add to our lovely crew of suffering folk, I present to you the 2 titular characters from Tom Stoppard's play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. The following quotations are from the bottom of page 122 of the play. Now, what sets Rosencrantz and Guildenstern apart from Sethe and Vladek is that they never had a whole identity to begin with. When you first meet them, their identity has already been destroyed if it ever existed to begin with. This play begins with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern already missing that critical piece that allows a person to lead a satisfied and fulfilling life, one that has purpose and meaning. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern don't have meaning. They don't even know who they are. And as the end draws near and their deaths loom on the horizon, that lack of answers, that lack of identity, that lack of meaning, it frustrates them. Because they finally realize that's what they've been missing this entire time. What they've needed this entire time. And now it's too late. And Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are not the only characters who've known anguish at the knowledge that their identity is lacking or incomplete. The following quotation is from page 119 of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Here we have Frankenstein being confronted by the wretch, his creation, about the poor creature's loneliness. The wretch is frustrated because he knows that he can ask for nothing and get nothing from humans, because they see him as a monster and treat him as such, just like his creator does. The wretch came into the world with kindness, humanity, and morality as part of his true identity, only to have it destroyed at the hands of humans who call him a monster. Just like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, the wretch doesn't even have a chance to experience his true identity before it's taken from him and destroyed, which means that he too is unable to live a fulfilling and satisfactory life. Now, it comes down to this. These different characters throughout literature have one thing in common. Sepha, a former slave. Vlodek, a survivor of the Holocaust. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, good friends. And the wretch, a miracle of science. All of them had something irreplaceable, something unique, something precious taken from them and destroyed. Their identity. And they may never be able to pick up the pieces again and put it all back together, even years later. This crisis of identity leaves them unable to live a satisfied and fulfilling life, one that has meaning and purpose to it. That is how important identity is. If your identity is lost, or destroyed, or taken away, there's a good chance you might never get it back. And without that unique, self-determined personal identity, you will never be able to find satisfaction or fulfillment in your life. It will be without meaning. That is why destruction of identity is so devastating to a person. Because if you don't feel satisfied, or you feel that you fulfilled your purpose or what you were supposed to do with your life, what was the point of it all?